welcome to the show.
It's Page Turners.
Page Turners by Authrs.io. We didn't touch on the name last time.
What's your name?
I'm Corey Fradin, and you?
I'm Corey Gladwell.
Oh, welcome.
Last I checked.
Yes, very good. Yes, very excited to get into today. You had a lot of really good jumping off points. You were talking about books.
Just the writing process, books and businesses and brands,
monetizing them.
A lot of B words. Monetizing books, making money with books. I think the big thing too when you think about being an author is the daunting task of actually writing the book, right? Like I think it's true with a lot of things. Like a lot of people would love to skip to the end of the thing and just have the reward of the thing versus doing all the work to get there. But the reward isn't as enjoyable unless you actually do the work. So even for our clients, like when we're doing all the work for them, it's a done for you service, right? We're doing all the work for them. We're writing the book, editing it, formatting, publishing, launching. There's still a lot of collaboration, right? They still get to have their say, their voice, their input, and they get the final cut, like they get the final say-so on the book before it goes out. But unlike the traditional process where you have to, when you think of writing a book, you're handwriting a book. You're literally writing it out. It's taken years. My first book was 5 years of like handwriting in a journal, just taking notes. And that there's so many people that have that process, whether it's typing on a computer or it's an iPad or it's a handwritten notes or whatever it is. And the time it takes and getting in the creative space and getting the right like mindset for it and the right place for it and then coming up with ideas and outlines and no one has to do that when they work with us. So I love that.
Well, and yes, and to kind of build on that too, I think, and this is something that is a big differentiator for us. Big word.
That's a big word.
Big word for
That's
the morning.
a lot of.
I had one sip of coffee so far, and I'm like,
nonchalant, nonchalant, onomatopoeia.
Exactly. One thing that's a big differentiator, went for round 2 on that one.
Wow, that's impressive.
is setting people up for what happens after the book, because exactly what you said, like, and we talked about this, I think, in the last one too. Like, so much time and effort goes into writing the book, and they think that's the end all be all. But then once it comes out and you actually want people to read it, it's almost like each book is almost like its own little business, or at least
it is.
Every part of that book or whatever is going towards its own thing. So like figure out how to then get people to read it, then how to actually do something with that book, so able to capitalize it in some way, get an ROI, at least for your time if you're doing it yourself, or an ROI if you're investing with us, kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's such a good point, because there's so many ways to make money with books. And you spend all this time writing the book or having someone write it for you or working through the ideas of the book. Then you publish it, and it's like, okay, now what? Well, now you have to get launched a bestseller, somehow or other. You want to get reviews for your book. You want to get book sales. And then there's a whole revenue stream of just getting book sales, right? Making $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a month in book sales. And then there's like, okay, well, if I have a book and I'm a thought leader or I'm a business leader, I want to use that book to generate leads. So maybe it's consulting leads, maybe it's course sales, maybe it's speaking engagements. And then there's the other avenue of, I want to use this book to springboard me to the next stage. So I want to use this book so I can go and get a TED Talk. I can go and speak at masterminds. I can get paid to do keynote speeches. I can get consulting clients. So you're using it as that ticket in the door, and that is really where, at least in my opinion, and I think we both agree on that, like the highest ROI is of the book, because the book is, to your point, it's a product and it's out there doing the work for you day in and day out. This book is a little product that's out there selling you to everyone, because anytime someone reads it, you're kind of transporting yourself into their mind, right? You're kind of putting your thoughts into their mind. They're going down the narrative that you want them to, and you're able to kind of translate that messaging and that authority and that credibility to that person. And I think that's super powerful, and that's one of the few things you can do that with, that just feels like the barrier between them, reading the book and accepting what you're saying is such a low barrier. Whereas if I watch, someone watching this video, right, or I watch a movie or whatever, it's a little bit harder for me to instantly accept what someone says. I kind of want to fact check some things and research some things. But a book, I just read it, and almost always I'm like, that's facts.
Yeah.
It's a fact.
I agree. That is interesting. Yeah, that is super weird. Yeah. Kind of a left turn, but related to what you're saying, let's talk about speaking a little bit.
We should have called this Left Turns by Authrs.io, because that's all it's going to be.
Left Turns with the Corys. Yeah, very possible. I was thinking, too, I would love to hear about when you first started getting into speaking, because I know, and like what that was feeling like, what were the emotions tied with it? Because I know when I first started taking it seriously, I think it was right around COVID times. And so like, it was less
perfect timing.
It was good timing.
Perfect timing.
It was good timing for in-person events. But it was actually it was a weird experience because a lot of those speaking like events were taking place over Zoom. So instead of like the jitters of getting on a stage, you'd be like, I'm sitting at home, I have a nice shirt on, but like that's it. And so like, and then I even start talking and I'm doing a Zoom call. So, and if I just am like, I'm just going to do my speaker view, I'm just looking at myself. So I could just be talking to myself for the hour.
It's the best.
And it's a very different speaker experience.
Welcome to my morning ritual.
That's me
in the mirror.
Lunch.
Just in the mirror. You got this.
That's it. So like when you first started, because you've been speaking even longer too in in-person events, the whole thing. So like, how was it when you first started getting into those?
Yeah. So I, so on that note, when I first started, I really wanted to I wanted to get a book deal initially. Like that was my number one goal with writing a book for the first time was like, I just want to get a book deal. And I think I talked about this before, but in my mind, it was like, okay, well, everyone that writes a book, you then publish it, and then Oprah brings you on TV.
That's it, yeah.
You get your book deal, you're going to make at least $1 million. You know, you'll sell 1 million copies.
That's what I think
get
most
$1.
people still think is the thing.
That's it. Like that's the process.
Once you've written the book, you've made it.
You made it, and now you get a book deal. And you get at least $1 million, if not more.
I mean, I think even to take even a step further or a step back, I think most people think that just the process of writing the book is like,
that's the work.
I did it.
Yeah.
I got the book deal because I wrote the book. And now but then if you're going to go the traditional route, then you still got to like push it, or you got to publish it, or you got to promote it, or like reach out to publishers.
Yeah, the whole thing.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions about it. Keep going.
And that's the thing. So that what's funny is that kept me motivated. That kept me motivated writing the book and you know, editing and publishing and all that stuff, because I was like, okay, this is what there's an end goal here, and I'm gonna get a book deal and make millions of dollars, and that's it. I'll go on Oprah. You know, I'll have lunch with Eckhart Tolle. It'll be great.
Sure.
It's gonna be a whole thing, and not even thinking about the after, you know, what comes next at all. Which, again, to your point, I think most people are in that same mindset because they don't know the other side. Once I actually published, and I realized like there's options for book deals. Like I got a book agent, and then like talked about book deals, but they weren't Eckhart Tolle book deals. You know, I wasn't going on Oprah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, what do I do? But because I had launched the book, I was invited to speak at different conferences, different masterminds, you know, and friends masterminds, business partners masterminds. And so the cool thing about the way that, at least for me, I would have jitters, just as a side note, on some of the in-person ones, but really, and anyone who knows me, you know this about me, and anyone else that knows me, it's like I could not, if I wanted to, really pre-plan out like this whole thing I'm going to teach on.
So interesting.
I like, and some people are so opposite, right? Like,
I practiced my spiel so many times. I'm like, and then I'll wait for a pause here, and then I'll do.
Isn't that the C? the pause?
Yes. Yes. I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Build the tension.
That's so
build the
funny.
tension, and
there we go.
Yeah, I'm like, again, this is one of the things, like, I'm just like, all right, let's figure this out. So, but the way I would do it is like, my thing is, and this is the inside scoop to masterminds as a side tangent, left turns.
Everybody,
left turns.
Listen in.
This is the inside scoop to having the best mastermind you could have. And this is what we would do for any masterminds is you're charging people $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, whatever, to come to these events. They're expecting to get a result from that event. Right. Yeah, they want community, and that's a big part of it. It's the community. It's not about you as the leader. It's the community they get to connect with. But everyone who's investing in a mastermind or an event that has speakers at it, they're expecting a result. Like they want a specific result. So when I would do these intimate masterminds or speak at them, even if they were friends ones, we go around the room that first day. You know, we have our breakfast or our lunch, whatever it is, and chefs are cooking, chilling at the beach, whatever the situation may be.
Good setup.
But it's a good setup. Paint the picture. Yeah. Birds are chirping.
Sure.
I lost it.
What color were the trees?
Palm trees, of course. So
I didn't
whatever colors those are.
That makes sense at the beach. I was going to go with oak. Oak was
just
wrong.
A huge evergreen on the beach.
Oak was wrong.
It might be. I mean, maybe that's New England.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Rocky
East Coast
Beach. Yeah.
Sure.
It's not even real beaches, though. Sorry. But
shout out East Coast.
Shout out Tom Brady. So I think so. Then you go around the room, right? In that first introduction, I pull up a whiteboard, go around the room, and say, what do you want to get out of this event? If you fast forward into the 2 days into the event, whatever time period the event is, if you could take one thing away, what would you love to have known, to learn, to take away from this event? And then you just go around to every single person in the room. There's 10, 20 people, whatever it is in the room. And you're making this list on this whiteboard of every single thing that everyone wants. And then you carry on teaching what you're going to teach anyways. But as you're teaching or anyone else is coming up to speak or teach, and specifically for myself, like I'll go up there and then I'm going to speak on whatever topic. I have thoughts and ideas of what I want to portray to people and what I want to impart to them. Mm-hmm. But then I can hit this list and I can just boom, 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 and start talking about those topics and answering the exact question that people have and give them the exact result that they want. And so can any other speaker.
Yeah.
And so... Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, because you're getting content, but you're also it's like you're delivering exactly what they want. Don't try to, dazzle them with what you think they need to hear.
Well, 1,000%. And then also, like to that point too, you're not feeling so rigid. Like, well, I have to hit my 3 sentences here, and then wait, I have to be so rigid about this. Like, we have to do this class and that class. You're actually leaving room for that spontaneity to come in, and you're keeping things open to see how they go. Mm-hmm. This is a related tangent. Like when Allie and my wife and I, when we travel. When we used to years ago when we would travel, we would be I planned everything. So I would be so rigid. First we're gonna go here, and then we're gonna be there for an hour, and then we're gonna go here for an hour, and then we're gonna go here for 30 minutes. We're gonna go back here. We're gonna grab some lunch here. It was so insane. The trips were jam packed, which I guess was okay. I mean, we saw a lot of stuff, but like you couldn't really. There was just no like wiggle room. Yeah. And so now like we just went on a trip, and it was instead of like planning anything, it was like going there. It was just we had flights booked, we had the hotel booked, and that was it.
And you just able to experience it.
And it's like we're going to be in Japan for 2 weeks. We'll just figure it out in Japan the day of or whatever.
And how was that?
It was so nice. It left so much, and we had we did so many experiences. We did so many things that we wouldn't have done had it been like we have to go here, then we have to go here, whatever. Mm-hmm. And so all that. To say for the masterminds, for the speaking thing too, it's more of like an improv with a goal than it is like a rigid structured thing.
And I think that's a great point to add on to it, because it's like it's not that this can apply everywhere. Like people, I could hear someone, not that anyone's even watching this, but if someone were, I could hear someone criticizing it, critiquing it. I was going to throw out different words there, as many options as I could, but I could hear someone. I know big words as well. I could hear someone critiquing it. And
what was the word for earlier?
I don't. Oh, demonstrative? No.
Differentiator.
Differentiator.
There's
so many.
Yes.
It's a lot there. Onomatopoeia. That's the one.
Good morning.
That's it. Good morning. Welcome. I can hear people critiquing it and saying, well, I think that's great in theory, but ideally you could do that. But, there's certain places where you're going to speak and there's 3,000 people and I have to have my perfect talk, whatever it is. And I'm not saying that those are bad. You still develop talks, right? Especially if you're going to do a TED Talk or you're going to do, speak from the stage. There's so many formulas and people out there that have PDFs and worksheets and whatever else that you can pop in. Hey, I got to do this, this, and this. I want to talk on these topics, and it'll spit out your perfect talk formula or whatever. I'm sure there's probably a GPT now or something, but you can kind of have this perfect talk formula. And so I'm not saying those are bad. But it's kind of like a combination. Even if you have 3,000 people in an audience, it's a combination of the mastermind, like let's give people what they want, and then having your talk. But you have to know what that audience is, right? Like, so every audience is going to be different, like the audience that you're speaking at Grant Cardone's 10X, whatever event, or, somewhere at Merriam Williamson's, whatever. I don't know.
Great.
I'm trying to go as far on the other ends of the spectrum as possible. Sure. I'm going to be honest. I think I nailed it. Crushed. You could get Grant Cardone and Merriam Williamson in the same room to see what happens. Ideologies that don't mix, right? So I think I nailed the extremes.
Fireworks.
Fireworks.
4th of July.
There you go. So I think I nailed the extremes there. That was great.
You did a really good job.
But the point is that those two different audiences are two different talks, and I don't think they could be. You could hit the same audience at the same time. So.
Oh, you were saying how some people may critique and say you should really show up with a plan.
Yeah, you have to have exact. And it's not throw away you having a plan or some ideal talk or talk topics, titles. Like you can have some talk ideas.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to flow with where the audience is, who you're talking to, when you're talking to them. And know the knowledge well enough that we can freestyle it, that we can do the thing, and that's the part, mastering the.
Well, if you think about like going to a concert, like if you go to like anything and you're like, this guy's going to play the same song, because I've looked at the set list, I know it's going to go this song, I know they're going to do the same thing.
Right.
Like that's fine. Compared to, but like, let's say you're there and it's like, hey, we're just gonna feel the audience and like, I feel like you guys really want this song right now, or this one, or that one. Such a difference. I remember seeing a talk Gary Vee did, like this was probably like a decade ago.
Shout out to Gary Vee.
Shout out Gary Vee. It was a talk he did like a decade ago, and it was like him doing like a lecture at like a business school, whatever. And he was just like, you could tell he was just like off the cuff, just like, hey, has anybody ever heard of me? No one raised their hand.
That's his whole business model.
I know, and they're like, because he's like, cool. Let me give you a little bit of my background. Anybody have any questions? That they're like, so like that. I think that's great because it creates such a more unique experience.
Yeah. Well, another person that does this in a different arena, but Matt Rife in comedy, his biggest, his claim to fame is crowd work, right? And it's a very similar thing. It's different in a lot of ways, but the sense is that you're engaging with the people that are in the audience, whoever it is, and you're giving them what they're actually wanting. Yeah. And it's not like you just have to pander to the audience, but you're teaching them what they want. You're giving them what they want. You're not just assuming that they want to learn this high-level thing over here that you feel is important, but 99% of the audience might not even freaking grasp it.
1,000%. Yeah. It's like improv versus stand-up. They're both good, and I think people gravitate towards one or another. Yeah. They can both be awesome. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, on the note of the audience thing, one thing I think that's great about having a book, there's many things, as anyone who's ever watched any of these videos with us is going to know. Speaking of left turns, is the trust gap. And I really wanted to talk about this because I was talking to, I don't know if it was a client call or where it was, but somewhat the trust gap, right? Like if you tell me something, like your best friend, business partner, you tell me something, there's a shorter trust gap, to like just believability. Whereas if a complete stranger tells me something, there's a bigger trust gap.
Huge.
Why do I know this person? Whatever else. Same thing happens in sales or in speaking. Even if you're not trying to speak from the stage to sell someone a product or service, you're still selling yourself, whatever that reason is. Whether you want them to buy your books or you want them to hire you for consulting, whatever the thing may be. And so that's the benefit of having the book. And it just applies to, being a consultant and have people hire you for consulting, selling courses, whatever the thing is that you have your end goal of why you want the book, your book helps bridge that trust gap. If someone reads your book or sees your book even sees that you have a book before you're on stage or before they have a sales call with you, before they interview, there's authority, and then there's that little bit of a trust. It's like, well, you did a thing. You worked hard enough to complete a book, which is challenging. Even if you have a team that we have, it's a lot to do.
Yeah.
And so there's like, you did this thing. Not only did you write the book, you're a bestseller, there's your thoughts, your words are in there so they can kind of impart a relationship connection with you. But also you completed this huge task. So I know you can do that,
Oh, sure.
There's a lot of these kind of conscious, unconscious things that I think.
You brought it up. Well, you brought it up earlier too. Like for whatever reason, because you don't really experience something like when it comes to like someone making a claim. If you hear someone make a claim on a podcast, you're like, I don't know. I got to fact check this. If you read it on a blog post, you see it in a YouTube video, you're like, I don't know. This is a conspiracy theory, whatever. Yeah. If you read it in someone's book, like, I've never fact checked a book. I'm like, this is the fact. This is the fact check.
They had to have fact checked this.
They have a bibliography. Like, I'm not going to look at it.
Yeah.
But it's there.
There's a references page.
There's a references page. There's a glossary, I think.
There's that little star asterisk thing at this. And
they have a footnote.
There's a site.
Yeah.
And that looks like, okay, it must be fact.
It's MLA format or something.
I've never actually searched any of those links.
I immediately take it as the fact. And
so real.
And the nice thing too, because we work with, executives in particular, they often don't have the special letters at the end of their name saying that they're an accountant or a lawyer or whatever. And so this is like one of those immediate credibility boosters. Like, I can't claim to myself to be an accountant, but I wrote this book on finances or whatever.
Or they built, especially too, like some of our clients aren't accountants, but they've built these $10, $20 million businesses.
Yes.
Based on their expertise
They'll
of
know
accounting
quite well, yes.
And so it's like they probably know more than most other accountants, except for they're not an accountant, right? So it's like, well, why should you talk on that? To your point, it's like, why should they talk on that
What
thing?
makes you qualified? Well, it's like, I have a book about all of this.
Yes, I wrote the book on it.
Yes,
always
literally I wrote the book on it. Yes.
Literally wrote the book on it.
1,000%, yeah.
There was one amazing topic that I wanted to talk about. Shout out to Viore Clothing if you're hearing this. Apple.
Pete's Coffee. We're currently consuming Pete's Coffee.
Yes, but we'd like to be paid or else we're cutting it out.
Yes, this will all be cut. Free sponsorship or paid sponsorship would be great.
That's right.
We were talking specifically about, there was something I wanted to touch on as well.
Yeah, there was one topic.
We're talking about speaking. We're talking about masterminds. We were talking about.
Oh, who do we work with? That was a big topic that I wanted to talk about. If your thing comes up, feel free to interrupt.
I got my thing as well. Why don't we say it? We'll say them at the same time.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Can I do it myself?
People.
Great. So I was gonna say, so for mine,
Just saying words.
I'm gonna step over your thing
Just
and then
stomp on it. Left turns.
I'm gonna left turn it.
Left turns.
And stomp on it, and then
Books in business.
one thing. So talking about books, the marketing, the whole thing, everything we do. I was on a sales call once, and the guy was saying like, "Hey, this sounds really cool. Is this something I could, if I don't want to pay for this kind of service, is this something I could do on my own?"
Absolutely.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's what I told him. I'm like, it is. And
Yeah.
here are some things to consider.
YouTube it.
Yeah, YouTube it. Also, just being aware of like the time things take, because a lot of like, especially with AI, people are like, "Can I write my book using AI in
so
particular?"
true.
I have a lot of takes on this.
That's a whole topic we should
It's a
talk
whole topic
about.
we can talk
I
about right
think.
now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But specifically, I was like, you absolutely can. You are.
Should you though? Is the
We reached out to you because you are a high level executive.
Yes.
You're working on some cool stuff. Do you have the time to write it all, edit it all, figure that out, and then also, can you account for the time it's going to take to recorrect all the mistakes that you will make doing it yourself? Only because you haven't done it before. It's
Yes.
doing anything new for the first time, you make mistakes. So are you okay making this instead of like a 6-month process? Are you cool with it being like a 6-year process?
Yeah.
Because you're going to have to figure out the marketing. You're going to have to figure out, which I don't think is exaggeration. Your first book, like you
it's
said,
so
took
true.
5 years to write.
Yeah.
So like, and I think a lot of people have, especially at the level we're talking to, is like they already have like, I wrote some notes down. I already like, so they've already been trying to do this for a number of years. So
Yeah.
it's like you absolutely can. And also just like, do you want to keep chipping away at it day by day for the next however
Yeah.
many years until you're like, I'm done with this.
It's
like,
so
I
true.
need to be done. Yeah.
So 2 things on that. Yeah. So I mean, it took me 5 years, and I was our ideal kind of customer, ideal
Yeah.
client. I was our clientele because I was making anywhere from $300,000 to $400,000 a year from real estate, and maybe not working full time, but I mean team management. There's a lot involved, and trying to write this book at any moment I could, and I would wake up at 4:30. It sounds like one of those like. I drove 10 feet of 10 miles in
Right.
80 feet of snow.
You destroyed that.
Yeah, but you get it. You
Yeah,
get
yeah.
it. It was funny.
Everybody knows.
It was
Yeah.
fun. Everyone
Everyone
funny. Laugh.
insert a laugh track here.
Please laugh.
And post edit, we will add in the laugh track.
I'm never going to do stand up. There was my whole future career.
Well, you got the improv.
You guys have no idea that this.
Well, the thing
is
about the improv is sometimes
really
it flops.
this is just to launch me into comedy.
Yes, you and me both.
That's it. That's all we're going to do. Done with publishing.
Speaking complete left turn.
Yes,
but
but-
really, no, I'm not going to let you make your point. Did you see the improv show that was on Netflix? It was probably a year or two ago with like Tom Schwartz, I think it was his name. It was the guy. It was the one guy from Silicon Valley, and then the other guy from he was on Parks and Rec.
I would've loved
played.
that.
It's hilarious if you haven't seen it.
Watching that. Shout out Netflix.
I should look it up because now I feel.
You should look it up.
You keep talking
You
and
can
I'm
find it. Yeah, Google things on your phone while I tell people things.
Yes.
Well, I just talked to you because there's no
'cause
one else here. Cole's here. Hey, Cole, I'm going to tell you because this guy's not listening anymore.
I'm listening.
He's just-
What is it called? You talk.
Parks and Netflix.
Yeah.
So no, what I was going to say is that not only did it take me 5 years while doing that as the ideal customer, but one thing I would tell anyone who
Middleditch and
says that-
Schwartz,
See,
just
there
to
it is.
stump all over
There
you.
it is.
Feel free to everyone.
Dumbledore Mufflin.
It's hilarious.
Dumbledore.
It is very funny. It's an
Dumbledore
improv
and Muffles.
thing. I'm sorry.
Muffins.
I'm being such a bad conversation partner right now.
Muffins
Please
and
go
Kevin
ahead.
Hart. That's all that Netflix is
Ooh.
about right now. Not a real
It's just
movie.
him eating.
And that'll be the next
eating
Netflix show.
muffins. I know.
He's in the
And The
top
Rock
10
is doing
always.
something.
Yeah. The Rock's
The
there.
Rock's
The
part
Rock's
of it.
making the muffins.
That's what it is.
That's it.
They're little tiny muffins.
Yeah, the Kevin Rock is what they should.
It would be The Rock making baby muffins and then feeding them to Kevin Hart. I
Yes.
think we just made a show.
I think that should be America's Greatest Baking Show. Is Kevin Rock Hart?
Oh
I
my
like
gosh.
it. Okay, so to your point,
Is it a rock or not a rock? And it's muffins that might also
Ooh, that
accidentally be
Kevin
rocks
has
that
to
Kevin has
eat?
to eat whole.
and then it's like
that was
the
a
whole
rock.
thing. That would suck. All right, we got ideas here, folks. We got ideas. So,
is it.
But,
This is the show.
So to your point of, it took 5 years to write
Yes.
the book, and then it also, but insane. Didn't know the process. That was just writing the book. That wasn't
Yeah.
publishing, launching, marketing, all that stuff. So yes, anytime someone ever says that, when they're like, "Can I do it myself?" and
You can
we
do anything
always say,
yourself.
you can do absolutely anything.
Yeah.
But the reality is, if they were going to, they would have. We wouldn't be on the call.
It's a very good. That's a very.
I
good
mean,
point.
that's just the reality of it. Anytime someone gets on a call, or whether it's with our team or I talk to them, you talk to them, and they're like, "Well, I'm going to do it myself." And I'm more power to you.
Yes.
When that doesn't work, let's get back on a call. Because
Yeah.
if you could have, you
We're
would have.
rooting for you.
You would have. Yeah, you would have. And the reality is, should you? It's kind of like that we talk about in business. There's tasks that are $10, $20 an hour tasks There's no reason I should be doing them. There's no reason you should be doing them. And anyone who owns a business understands that. Anyone who's an executive understands that. There's a certain dollar per hour wage that you earn, even if you make salary or you own equity in your business or you're the business owner, whether it's $100,000, $500,000, $1 million, divide that up by how many hours you work. That's your hourly pay, right? And that can be whatever that is for everybody. And if the thing is less than that, it doesn't mean you can't at sometimes do things, because there's certain design things I want to do or you want to do, or fun stuff we want to do. But most tasks that are at that certain dollar range, that's below what my time would be worth or your time would be worth to do the thing, I should not be doing. And so a lot of times, especially with writing books, like our clients are these executives. They're Fortune 500 executives, business owners, whatever. They shouldn't be having to sit and figure it out. Or if they do, to the point of what we started with, the writing process, they think they need to do the Stephen King thing, go on a lake, cabin for 3 months in the middle of nowhere, and get their Jack and Coke or whatever, and just drink their way into a bestseller. Something like that. I don't know what the alcohol was, but it was some kind of alcohol.
Oh, really?
And that's where Stephen King wrote most of his books.
Like
Someone should fact check this.
I feel like Hemingway was also...
They're all alcoholics.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So I don't like to drink.
So if you're not into alcohol, then
you can't write a book.
Don't write it. Don't write the book. I remember
as soon as I stopped, it was like, no more books. There was all my
where'd the words go?
All the creativity. Yeah.
Let me try improv.
Still working on it. We'll see how it goes. Shout out Matt Rife.
I heard a quote or some sort of line, kind of a tribute, or like along these lines of, if you were going to do it, you would have done it by now.
Yes.
And it was kind of like when we're on a call with someone and they're like, hey, I don't know if I'm going to do it. This is all moving so fast, whatever. It's like, well, you've been doing this for the last 10 years. You've been working on a book for 10 years. It's not like a fast decision. It's just been, you're now ready to actually do something about it. You've been talking about it. You've been telling your friends you're going to write a book. You've been telling your coworkers, your employees you've been writing a book. You're going to write a book. You've been writing a book, whatever. It's been 10 years in the making. You're just finally now ready to do something about it.
Yes.
That's what I...
Stop kicking tires.
Stop
I love
kicking
it.
Tires and just like commit.
That's so true. Yeah.
We were talking about AI. We can dig into that a little bit.
Let's talk about
but
AI.
We also don't have to at all.
GPT-4o.
I know. I saw that
4o.
today.
It reminds me of E40. I don't know why.
I wonder why they went with
area.
O. They're like everyone's over doing a dot, point
it's
1,
not
point
5.
2.
Yeah, it's not 5. And I think Sam's like, let's throw
letters.
Let's throw letters out there.
And let's choose the middle of the alphabet too.
There's a reasoning. It doesn't make any sense, but there's a reasoning.
There's got to be. There's a reason. You'd hope, right?
You'd hope. You'd think, but yeah,
but
there's not. So it's not. It's okay. The update, the newest one is okay.
Oh yeah.
I was testing out. It's a little bit faster. I think 5 is going to be better. So AI and writing books.
Sorry. It said it was really good at other languages too.
The translation thing, I have not tested, but that's the video I watched of people doing that, the translation thing.
Oh.
And it's instantaneous.
Is it?
So they're using that like Scarlett Johansson voice that's not Scarlett Johansson, the one that I like from chat. You like too?
It's so good.
So good. It's definitely Scarlett Johansson, but she won't admit that it is. But they were using her to translate Italian back and forth, English and Italian.
In real time?
In real time. It was instantaneous, and she sounded really good.
Because Google Translate, a woman pulled up I was on a walk the other day, and a woman pulled up, and she was lost, and but she only spoke Korean, and I'm like, I don't know. She was like, she knew how to say I'm lost, but like that was it.
Yeah, it's my DoorDash guy last night.
Your DoorDash guy last night. Yeah. And so I was like, trying to figure out like, what language are you speaking? She's like, Korean. And so I got on Google Translate. I'm like, where are you trying to go?
Right.
It did not translate it all that well. She was like,
she's like, I don't know. I'm more lost.
Yeah. Where am I going? I'm like, so.
Okay.
Anyways, all that to say, if chats can do it and do it effectively and do it simultaneously, that's going to be crazy.
And if they can do it integrated. So I also
integrated to your AirPods, so we each got an AirPod.
And if it could do it on calls.
Yeah.
Instantaneously on calls. So 2 things. One is I know that Sam and OpenAI are doing a deal with iPhone. So one of the newest iPhone updates, supposedly, it just got cemented, is going to have, let's see how this ages, but it's supposed to have
2024
Chat GPT inside of it. Yeah, we're in May 2024, just in case everyone's like, wow, that really bombed. But it's supposed to have chat in the software in the update. Don't know what that's going to be, but it would be great if it translated in real time. So I was on a call yesterday with my DoorDash delivery driver trying to get my food, and he just kept saying no English. And I'm like, okay,
that's tough.
This is I don't know what to do here. And luckily someone had walked by him and heard him say no English, and then took his phone and was like, I'll help, and then decided to have a conversation with me in English.
That's what I am doing with that woman.
And I'm like,
she called her daughter.
I'm like, where's the guy? Where's the guy at? And he's like, over here. I'm like, okay, tell him I'm going to be there in a few minutes.
Wow.
It was a whole thing. But like, what are the chances that someone randomly walks by? So yeah, it would be great if I could just click a button and then Scarlett Johansson voice in chat could just translate.
Maybe that needed
whatever.
to happen so that we could have that conversation today.
That's why we're here.
That is why we're here.
Go ahead. I was going to say book writing and AIs.
Well, so it was kind of related to what we were talking about earlier, like when someone says like, hey, can
You
I
absolutely
just do it myself?
but
like in the case of chat, so the way I kind of think about AI where it is right now is it is a tool. And so in the same way that if you were to, because I'm not very like handy in the physical world, so like if you were to bring me
things.
I can build things in the digital world, but in the physical world, if you were to bring me like a bunch of like planks of wood and you gave me like a hammer and some nails and some glue and you were like, here, make a birdhouse, I'd be like, I don't.
What kind of bird are we talking, right?
What kind of bird are we talking? And how much time do I, because it's going to take me 6 days to do anything here.
Right.
And so AI is in the same way a tool. So like you can do whatever you want with it, but like you have to know how to use that tool. And so you have to know not only how to get the prompts going, but you also have to know like what does an actual good writing look like, or what does good anything look like
and
using
even
this tool?
if you have all those tools, even the best tools,
it's still
it's not there yet. It's not there yet.
It's a step in the right direction.
It is getting there.
It is not. Yeah. And I could. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was saying I'm excited about it. I know we have friends that are developing different softwares.
Yeah.
We've talked about doing softwares. You know, there's a lot of cool things that I think will come from it, and I think will be great when it gets there. And I know, always kind of joke and make fun of me because every time someone brings it up, I'm like, well, you know Grammarly, right?
Grammarly. We use Grammarly.
Grammarly. That's my extent of explaining it because I'm like, well, like I remember someone asked the other day, and I'm like, AI is in everything. Yeah. You know, it's in everything. I write an email. AI Gemini from Google is in there.
Oh, you've been testing it out? Mm-hmm. How's it at doing emails?
Same as it was before, with like the
just like
autofill.
Siri talking.
It was like, you know, like it autofills your thing.
Yeah.
Siri's getting worse. So the iPhone texting
is Siri getting worse, or is Siri just staying the same, and we're just very aware of how bad it's always
I think
been?
Siri had reached AGI, and she's like, I hate all of you. I'm going to torture you for the next 5 to 20 years. That's what I think Siri's doing. So Siri messes with. And I'm hoping Scarlett Johansson. Sorry, Siri, if you hear this, but I'm hoping Scarlett Johansson, i.e. chat, replaces Siri, and that's what I believe the update's going to happen. But Siri will autocorrect my text and like make up things, and I'm like, that sentence did not ever need to be there. It doesn't make any kind of logical sense.
Yeah.
And I'm not great at writing text messages with my thumbs.
Yeah.
But I could have done better than that, Siri. So same thing with Gemini. It's going to fill it out. It's not all that great. I haven't ever been like, write the whole email, because I'm like, that feels risky. So similarly to Grammarly, AI isn't everywhere.
Yeah.
And I love it. And so like when we have calls with clients, for example, I was talking to one of our clients about this. Like we have calls with clients, or our client success manager, if you join with us, you have a client success manager, you have a project manager, you have a writer, you have a designated editor.
CSA, client success
admin, you have a designer. All these people are assigned to you, this huge team of people that are assigned to you. And the client success manager or client success admin, you'll have calls with different people on your team, and they will ask you a series of questions, and we interview our clients. So that way we can say, hey, tell us about this time, and this, and what you know about this, and so on. And that whole process of, kind of distilling and extrapolating all this gold from you, or I guess extrapolating all this material and content from you, then distilling it down to gold. That whole process is a call on Zoom. Zoom transcribes or Rev transcribes it. That's their own AI software.
Yeah.
We get an AI summary from that call, so our whole team has an update on how that call went. And then that goes in, and so like there's a whole process. And if that goes through, we clean that up with our editing software. Like there's so many different things until we have the actual, writer on staff, the actual editor on staff, the designer. So there's all these different touch points where AI is going to be involved. And that doesn't matter what you do. If you type it on your own computer, or even if you handwrite it and eventually type it, or if you have our team do it for you. And so it's really to what degree. And the reason I clarify that is because when you go to publish on Amazon, this last year they developed a question that says, is this AI generated content? And then you check the box, yes, if it is. And what that means is that
the honor system.
Yes. The guilt was going to get them.
Sure.
That's the definition of hell, is living in guilt. I'm telling you, people don't know yet. But anyway, so they have to check yes. The reason is because if it's fully AI generated, when you go to publish it on Amazon, even if you don't check yes, their algorithm will will be able to filter some of the things out. So they can pick up these things, they can tell. If you are AI supported or AI, I don't know what the word is, assisted in that sense, which again, everything is, that doesn't include that, because there's no way to say you're not in some way in 2024, and especially moving on. So AI will get there. I think it will be a huge tool to help a lot of people, but right now it's just not. It's not there. It's more work.
We did an aside. Now we're back.
Yes, bathroom break that we didn't take.
But we talked about it.
I could rap still. I might not be able to do improv, but I
think
can
we're
rap.
good. No, we're good.
Bathroom break that I didn't
Perfect.
take. All right, books.
So we're testing out the improv. We're testing out rapping. It's a creative effort
what
all
we're doing.
across. Yeah, I mean the writing. Now that with the no drinking thing, you kind of have to figure out. I need a new creative outlet. So maybe you can rap sober.
Raps. Yeah.
Caffeine's
You could
been-
drink and rap. I think people do that.
No, but you're saying because
I don't drink and write. I don't drink and rap. Yeah, true.
But you can. Yeah.
But we could. We could throw it out there.
Yeah, we could try.
We could drink
Test
Ernest
it out.
Holmes. Ernest Holmes? No.
So maybe we should now.
Ernest Hemingway.
Are we doing the time in now?
I think we've been.
Oh, this is
timed
all.
in.
Oh, okay, good.
This is all here. There's a lot of.
And we're just back to riffing.
Outtakes.
Here we go. It's
Yeah.
a lot of
There's a lot of outtakes. These are gonna make great reels.
some solid.
Shout out IG
rough
reels.
swords. Yeah.
Shout out TikTok for the next 7 months.
Here we go. That's true.
Should we talk about TikTok or
Yeah, go for it.
wars, politics, anything we want to
That's
talk about?
really on
Should we
brand
really,
for us.
Should we
yeah.
really get in the weeds?
I told
here?
my mom.
Should we really get in the weeds?
I told my mom today. I'm like, hey, we're gonna go record a podcast episode. She's like, oh, cool. What about? I'm like, we're gonna talk about the Armenian genocide, and we're gonna
dive
go. We're gonna
deep.
go present. We're gonna go
go
present
dive deep.
genocides all the way to
All
the
of
past.
them.
We're
All
gonna
of
talk
them.
about the ones in the 1500s,
All of
1400s.
it.
We're
We're
gonna
gonna go
touch on
through
all
all of it.
genocides.
Yes.
So I'm happy I was able to do
All- yeah.
shout out, mom. Thank you.
Yeah,
for-
shout out, Mom. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's
That
Day
was
to all
this
the mothers
week.
out there, yeah.
This week, yeah.
Yeah. So I think you did a really good job talking about the
Thank
AI
you.
stuff. Yeah.
Thank you.
It is
a
becoming
deep
ever
fake.
more present in all the different things.
Yeah, and there's so
and it's getting better and better. And it
Yeah, and I mean, so one of our clients I was talking to, and she's like, yeah, you can see some of the so when we do a transcript, for example, of a call, the call is recorded, the transcript happens, it's got all the ums and the ahs and the whatever, but the AI that transcribes it can clean those things up. The main thing is that I don't want clients to ever feel like they have to do anything.
Yes,
That's the
it is
biggest
done for
takeaway.
you.
It's
yeah.
done for you, and so
Yeah.
I always appreciate it when people have notes, or whatever else. But I'm like, you don't need to do anything. You don't
Yeah.
need to do anything at all. This is our job.
I think
to
we talked
handle
about
it
this
for
last
you.
time. We might have talked about this last time, or
Let's
maybe
talk
it was.
about it this time.
It might have been on the kind of the secondary part where we were talking to Murphy about it. But
Murph.
it's kind of like when clients are like, "Hey, should I show up with notes? Should I prep?" It's like, don't do anything, so that way it's so boiling over in your head that you're just ready to just tell us
Yeah.
all the different things, all the experiences, all the stories. So it's driving you crazy that you can't wait to get on the call with us.
Yes, and to that point too, when people are when you are saying, I need to think about this, and I'm going to type this up, I'm going to type this up, or I'm going to add notes, or I'm going to find this, or you're trying to be very intentional, and not that that's bad. Like, it's good to be intentional in a lot of ways, but you're going to only think a certain way when you're trying to get to impart content that you're going to share with someone. There's pressure, there's a filter, there's a perception of like they might judge it. I need to have this perfect. This might be the final piece. Like, there's all these different kind of constraints. And so when you remove all those constraints and you just show up on a call and someone says, hey, so tell me about yourself. What would you love the book to be about? Oh, cool. What happened then when you bought that business or you did this? And you're just talking and talking and talking like you have talking to a friend, and you're going on and on for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, sometimes an hour, and you're just talking, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, I didn't even know I had that much to say in it, say about it.
Yeah.
And now we have all of that information, and now we can take it to that team, and
We
then
can
just
do something with it
We
and
can find the
completely
magic
take it
in
off your plate, yeah.
And there's none of those filters of what they think it's supposed to be, or
Yes.
limiting the experience, because there might be so much in there.
And it's preventing all that overwhelm too.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
kind of continuing what you were
Yes.
saying. Like, because if you were to if you're like, oh, now I got to prep, I got to do all this stuff. It's like, whoa, this is a huge undertaking. But it's like, no, don't. You just got to
Yeah.
show up on the call. That's it. It's very easy.
And I find
In a good way,
myself
in a good
no,
way.
it isn't. I find myself doing that as an executive, right? And that's I always try to reference it to myself because I'm like, can I understand it? As an executive, it gets really difficult for me to when I'm like, okay, I'm going to give this project to someone.
We've been talking about this a lot
Right?
for both of us. Yes,
yeah,
yes.
I'm going to give this project to someone, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, well, I want to get them this, I want to give them that, I want to give feedback on, and like,
I want to do it this way.
and I
or-
hold up the project because I think I need to do a bunch of things before I can get them to get started or whatever. And it's like, I don't need to do that. I can just let them do it, give some feedback, like like over time, it will get to the point of exactly how I want it, but I just need to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a hard thing for executives, I think, in general, to just let the process happen, let someone else do the work. But when they do, it's magical, and they can keep living their lives.
Well, the nice thing is too, they're able to keep doing the things they're doing, and just like one call a week for however many weeks until it's ready to go, which is really not that many. It's what, like 6 weeks, 8 weeks. It's not a ton of weeks, and that way they can keep doing their thing. They can keep being amazing at all the different things they're doing, and not have to worry about it. And then this time have had such a fun experience sharing all these stories, and then have this really cool book
it's amazing
to share with the world when it's done. Yeah,
it's amazing
because it can get so overwhelming. You're basically, especially again because they are busy executives, they're running these companies, they're doing all these really exciting things. To then be like, now I have to start actually a whole side business, writing this book, marketing, promoting it. It's daunting. It's daunting.
Or the other thing too, that clients will come and say, I have 2 or 3 different book ideas. I don't know which one I should go with.
I'm thinking a memoir. I'm thinking a personal development book. I'm thinking a fictional story. It's like,
and it's like all over the place.
Overwhelm you.
Yeah, and so they don't even start. And it's like, well, actually, we can just having one call with us, just one call.
We'll figure it out for you.
Get all those books into just, here's your first book. This is 2 or 3 of these actually can be one book. This one you don't even need to talk about ever or write. You know, like we can sort through all those and just, forget this passion project thing. Let's just do this. And then the other thing is people are like, okay, well, what about, a lot of our clients, because they have a lot of money, they're like, I don't need to make a return on investment. I'm not worried about the money. And it's like, I love that. I love that as an idea and a concept. But for us, because like they're thinking, I just want the legacy. And I love that. And the thing is, the legacy is always included. You're guaranteed to have legacy when you write a book with us. We publish it, launch it a bestseller. It's forever. It's forever existing to your family, your kids, your grandkids, everyone. And on top of that, you get an ROI.
I was going to do a little metaphor. It's like ordering a pizza and being like, I want to make sure this includes bread and bread crust kind of stuff. And it's like, hey, it has to. Yeah. By definition of pizza, it has to have the bread crust.
They just come with cheese.
just
cheese and marinara.
Melted cheese on a plate.
Just melted cheese with some marinara sauce.
Some pepperonis. It's like, I don't know what this is. I thought we had
bread
lasagna
with
at this point. I thought there should be bread. So the legacy, exactly what you're saying. The legacy is built into it. That's a default.
And we always want to make sure there's an ROI. That's why when we're talking about the 4 or 5 different book ideas you might have, let's get it down to that very first book. This is the book we're going to write for you. This is why it matters. This is the end goal. This is what the reader's going to take away from the book. And this is how you're going to make a profit from this book. And here's the path to do that. And we know that end goal, and we'll reverse engineer it backwards, and we'll build the steps to get there. And you just show up on those calls.
Well, and yes, and to that legacy point too, it's really easy to say, I don't care about the money, I'm doing it for legacy. It's easy to do that before the project started, but then at some point you're like, because these people are business savvy. So they're aware, they're very financially savvy, they're good at making money, they're good at excelling at the thing they do. So when the book comes out, let's say they're doing it on their own and they're like, I don't care about the money, I don't care about the return. I just want people, the legacy of it. But then when it comes out and they're like, actually a return would actually be super nice, because that's the mindset, is like they're very smart and those means anyways,
numbers,
words,
math,
and finance, addition,
money, books and business, baby. So how are we doing on time here?
I think we're doing good. We got
a few minutes.
Yeah, we're doing good.
Minutes.
We can keep riffing.
Riff it. Was there any other topics? There was some specific topics. I feel like making money, baby.
We're going to talk speaking, consulting.
Speaking, we did.
We talked about the AI. We talked about the process of writing the books, the emotions behind them. We talked about.
Should we talk about consulting? Dive deep into consulting some. Okay, let's do that.
I'll tee you up. Here you go. You ready? Okay. Would you mind talking about consulting?
Wow, I didn't know this question was going to happen.
There you go.
I wasn't ready.
I was worried about blindsiding you, but I figured there's a time.
Wow, you really just threw a curveball at me here.
See how it goes.
Okay, consulting. So what? So one of the big reasons that we talk about an ROI with being a best-selling author is, besides speaking and speaking career, keynotes, TED Talks, is consulting, getting into consulting. So if you are in our kind of ideal client avatar, you're again a busy professional executive, CEO, CMO, founder, whatever it may be, business owner, and you have this wealth of knowledge. So that's one of the things that we filter through before we have anyone on our team, anyone on our sales team has a call with you. Before anyone has a call, you have already gone through a filter of a level of experience that there's something unique about you, but you also have experience in your field, knowledge that you can, we can take and pass down to someone else. And so with that, there's not only like a best-selling book that we can get from the experience you have, but then you can either continue doing your career, keep working and doing whatever it is in your business, or you can transition from this full-time 40, 60-hour weeks, whatever it is you're doing, down to this 10 hours a week of consulting. And instead of this whole entire business that you have, either you sell it, someone else runs it, or you retire from the corporate job, whatever it is, you can go and teach either in corporate consulting or one-on-one consulting or group consulting what you know to people that need to know it. And a lot of people too, especially in our clientele, feel very like they're very humble and not in like a.
It's surprising,
because not in like a fake way at all.
They're at such
absolutely
a high level. You think there'd be like a ton of confidence and like I am amazing. Mm-hmm. Everybody, like the large majority, is like so humble. Like who's going to listen to my story?
Who wants to read my book?
Who cares about my experience? It's like you don't understand.
You don't get it. You're up here.
Yeah, great job with the humility, but like you got to understand.
And they're also real. That's also very authentic.
It's very authentic humility. Yeah, it is a common trait.
And it's amazing to see. And so when we can show them not only that, people do want to read your book, they do want to read your book, they do want to hear your message, but also we can package that up in consulting. And we show you at the end of our time, like towards the end of our time working together, how to package up that expertise, and then how to go into consulting. And so whether it is one-on-one, whether it's 1-to-many ratio in a group, whether it's corporate consulting, what your pricing package should be per your industry, how to find the either the companies you should consult for, how to reach out to them, or the people, how to structure your offer, how to structure your website into an actual funnel so you can generate sales calls or leads, whatever else it is. We fully designed that for you and consult you on how to do that, so you can actually go out and do that and take it to the next level. And you don't have to. You don't have to consult. You don't have to go do a TED Talk. You don't have to be a motivational speaker or do a keynote. But we're going to show you how to, and that way you have the choice.
One question that, and I have kind of my own answer, but I'm curious to hear what you say. If someone was like, hey, I like what you guys are talking about, I'm torn between doing speaking, doing consulting, doing coaching, some other thing, how have you approached that?
Absolutely.
When you get asked, how do you normally answer that?
I always ask first is what their experience is with any of it, and if people have experience in some of it, then I ask about that experience. If they don't have experience in any of it, then I always just say, go do it, like figure out what that looks like. And so before they decide, hey, I'm going to be a speaker as a business, or I'm going to be a consultant as a business or a coach, whatever it is, let's start with, again, just like with the book, let's start with the end in mind. What is it that you want your life to look like? How does your day go? How does your Monday go, your Tuesday go, your Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Then how is your time spent? How much are you working? How much are you spending with family? Are you traveling? Are you doing Zoom calls? Are you speaking from the stage? Are you consulting? Like, go into that space, and you can go into like a spiritual meditation, visualization type of experience with it, and then write it down, or just close your eyes for 5 seconds and think about it. You don't have to fully visualize it, but knowing what you want your day-to-day to look like, and then we can again reverse engineer. Okay, well, if you speak, once a quarter, and they pay you $25,000, you made $100,000, and you spent 6 or 8 hours or whatever, a year. That sounds nice, or I saw myself consulting and I really do want to consult. I love this industry. I love this area. And so I want to, have 10 clients and, I'm going to charge them $5,000 a piece. You're making $50,000 a month, whatever it is. And then you're working, 3 or 4, 5 hours a week. You can structure any way you want based on your industry, your experience, and what you want out of it. There's an audience for it. And people have a lot of these beliefs, like who would pay for this, or there's not that many people that know about this. Is there even an audience about that? Or people already speak on this, or people already consult on that, or there's all these books written on that. I think the one thing that's really hard for us humans to understand is the amount of actual people there are on this planet. There are so many people, and there are so many vast humans in every single industry and every single niche that are willing to pay for your expertise and your time to learn what you know and to shortcut their process of having to have all these growing pains and learning pains, and they'll willingly do it if you offer it to them in the right way. And so that's what we help them do.
I agree with everything you said, and I think we're just about up on time.
Yeah.
So
another episode of Left Turns.
Left Turns.
Page Turners
by Corey and Authrs.io. Page Turners.
Yeah, Page Turners.
It was great chatting with you as always.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, bye.